What's up, ecom hackers? Welcome to part two of the ultimate holiday marketing playbook for Q4. Today, we're going to be breaking down how to drive a landslide of traffic to your store during the holiday season so you can boost your sales and enjoy the dopamine rush of holiday shoppers. All right. In part one, we broke down some of the things that needs to happen on your store with your offers and the things that you want to have in place to make sure that you can maximize what you get from all these clicks. Today, we're going to talk about how to drive the clicks, baby, right? Have your sales running faster than Reggie Bush. I've got Mason Dorner on with us, resident media buying expert, and we're going to dive right on into how to send that wave of traffic this holiday season. Right. So, Mason, maybe give them a little bit of background on what we're going to go over today and why we should listen to you.
Sure. Yeah. So today we're going to talk about the different strategies that I personally use for all of my agency clients when we get into Q4, when we get into Black Friday season to help set them up for success. So your ad campaigns, your creatives, what to do, what not to do. The reason you should listen to me, I've been doing this for 15 plus years. I've personally managed over $150 million in ad spend, driven over $1 billion in sales. So I've been doing this for a long time, done it on every single ad platform, done it for some massive companies like Disney, and then a ton of startups, as well as some tech unicorns like Stacks Payments. So done it from literally zero revenue all the way to $1 billion companies. So, and everything in between. So hopefully you guys will get some good value out of this today. Looking forward to sharing, kind of our playbook that we're going to use, because most e-com stores do 50% of their revenue in Q4. So this makes or breaks your year. So we're going to give you the recipes so that it'll make it for you.
100%. This is not stuff that we've seen on blogs or watched on YouTube. This is stuff that we've actually implemented in our businesses. And we want to give you guys the real, not the hype, not the magic, but the real secrets to make this your most profitable fourth quarter ever. So make sure that you like this stream, right? It helps more people see it, and make sure you subscribe to Ecom Hacker TV on YouTube, so that way you're constantly getting the value bombs and the content that we drop to help you guys cash in on this ecom revolution that's taking place right now. So let's go ahead and get this bad boy started. All right. So first off, let's talk a little bit about some of the mistakes that folks make when it comes to their holiday ad campaigns.
Yeah, let's get into it. Because again, this is the biggest opportunity the entire year, and there's a lot of ways to do it wrong. And you want to make sure that you don't do these things. First and foremost, this may seem obvious, but I see it all the time when I look at ad accounts, is running everything the same as you normally would. It's a different time of year. Traffic's way more expensive. Consumer behavior is different. It's really important that you actually have a dedicated plan for Black Friday season and for holiday season, and don't just run your regular stuff, because what's going to happen is ad costs are going to get really, really expensive. So if you just leave your stuff on and you just let it run, your CPAs are going to just totally pop off if you're not adjusting. Additionally, assuming you do have a plan, you need to stay extremely nimble. Ad costs are going to go up and down like crazy. Demand is going to go up and down like crazy. Like, you need to be checking your campaigns probably a couple times a day as you get closer to the actual Black Friday day. So make sure you stay nimble. Make sure you have a plan. Don't just let your stuff run. That's just lighting money on fire.
So, and the reason that we see the spike in ad costs is because everybody and their mom is deciding, hey, it's the holidays. It's time for me to start running ads. And no matter what platform you're on, it's an auction-based system. So that means there's more money floating around, and that means that your costs are going to go up. So when we're talking about CPAs, the cost per purchase, the cost per acquisition, the cost per lead, whatever it is that you're targeting, it's going to be more expensive. It's part of why we talked about in part one, making sure that your store is as ready for traffic as possible, and that we're able to capture leads to help you be able to counter the increased costs, right? And then, you mentioned something that was pretty key there, and that was the lead up to Black Friday. So we're saying there's opportunities to make money before BFCM?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, Black Friday is really, it encompasses all of October and November now, honestly. And I had that as kind of the third point there. Running only on the actual holiday, you miss the bus if you run only on Black Friday. Most people have actually spent all their money before Black Friday gets there now, because many, many brands are turning their offers on the first week of November. So the consumer has all month long to buy stuff and look at stuff. So if you come on just like on the actual weekend of, you've already missed the boat. Most people have spent 80 to 90% of their budget for presents and whatnot at that point, if you're turning on like just the day of or just that weekend.
That's wild. Yeah, that is a big mistake that
Mhm.
folks can make. I mean, look, you all, no matter where you're watching this from, chances are you're already seeing holiday stuff come out in even some of these department stores. People
Mhm.
ready to put Halloween stuff out, but also ready to get you primed for Christmas shopping. So that's a good point there of just making sure that we're not waiting to the last minute. Again, that's part of what we talked about
Mhm.
in part one is making sure that you are prepared, paying your assets in advance, having that promotional calendar in place. So
Mhm.
that way you got all this stuff going before we get to this the big day here.
Yeah, and you're kind of leading into my second point there with the assets in advance, which is don't just have your assets created in advance, have them loaded into Business Manager or Ads Manager in advance because approvals take way longer during the holiday season because everybody's loading up ads. So I've seen ads get stuck in approvals for a couple of days before they were allowed to run. Well, if you're running, on Black Friday or you're loading your ads up the day before they're supposed to go live, you might launch late. So I would load your stuff up and have your campaigns built 5 days before those promotions actually go live.
Mm, that's another key point. Again, for those of you that are new to running ads, and this is the first holiday season where you're going to be trying to dive into paid advertising, that is a key point. You have to get your creatives approved, right? It's you publish it, and just because you publish it doesn't mean it's going live the same day. It could be some time before it gets approved and starts running. So as Big May says, right, you make sure that you have it in there and getting approved before you can schedule your stuff to go live at certain times. So very key point there. So
Cool. So that's what not to do. Let's jump into what you should be doing, how to win.
how to
So we're going to
win.
talk about how to win. So we're going to talk about creatives, specifically scroll stopping creatives. So a couple key points here. And again, some of this stuff may seem obvious, but I say it because I audit accounts all the time that aren't doing these things. So first and foremost, have an offer if possible. Just something extra, something you don't do the rest of the year. Even if you don't want a discount, then I would recommend doing some kind of value add. So like for my brand, like I'm co-founder of Medley Wine Co. We don't need to discount. Like we're selling so much, we can't keep the stuff in stock. So our price is already super affordable. So we're not going to discount for Black Friday, but we are going to do some value adds. We're going to do like some custom like wine glasses you can't get the rest of the year, where if you buy a certain amount of wine, you get these free glasses. So figure out some kind of an offer if you can. I'd say 90% of people should be able to figure out an offer.
Oh yeah.
That yeah. That being said, if you do have an offer, put that thing everywhere on the creative. Like too much isn't enough. You can't be too obnoxious. I want to see it like on the headline of the ad. I want to see it in the graphic of the ad or in the video and even in the footer. And you can test it in all three of those places to see what does better. And I've got a couple examples here that I can show you of some different ways that we've executed this in our ad accounts and some other folks that we don't work with that have done a good job with it. So let me share this over. So I'm going to share an example from one of our ad accounts here.
Perfect.
Cool. So again, this is one of our clients. This is some of their creative from last Black Friday. You can see they didn't put the offer on the graphic. We asked them to, but sometimes stuff gets lost in translation or they wanted to keep a cleaner aesthetic. But you've got the offer here in the top. So it was a 30% off offer. So it's big, it's bold, it's the first thing that you see. We space it out, we put emojis around it. This is something that I do for most of our clients when we have an offer or a sale, is I will do the offer by itself in bold with emojis in the very first line. This is like part of our standard operating procedure for sales for all of our clients. So feel free to steal that. Works great for Black Friday. Also, something else I'm going to talk about too is try to have your imagery sort of be a little bit more festive or just tie in with the holiday. Like this company, and they sell like tiki glasses and all kinds of drinking accessories. But you can see they've actually got like some Christmas stuff and they've set the background to look kind of festive. They've got a couple different variations of these, but it stands out. It doesn't look like the stuff that they run the rest of the year. You can tell it's kind of holiday themed. So however you can do that with your brand, take your product and put some Christmas trees or ornaments behind it, whatever you got to do. You can use AI to swap backgrounds out, but make it tie into the year. We want it to stand out as much as possible so that it doesn't look like what you do the rest of the year.
And
A
there's
couple other examples. Oh, go ahead.
before you move on, pull that example back up for him, Mace.
Okay.
So, folks, when we talk about scroll stopping creatives, especially on a platform like Facebook, which is a really good one for e-commerce, you guys got to remember like how people see ads in their feed and why
Mhm.
Mason is talking about putting the offer in multiple places. So the first thing someone is going to see is going to be the image, right? And that's why, again, if you can put the offer in the image, that way it's really putting it in the forefront,
Mhm.
festive imagery. Like that's what the first thing someone's going to see. Then they're going to see the headline section.
This.
So right? Yeah, exactly. Right. Then the next thing they see is going to be the headline. So whether it's reinforcing the offer or like in this one, it's giving them the code that they can use, right?
Mhm.
You want to give them the most important information. And then right there up at the top where you see that save 30%, that's when they're able to really see more about the detail. And if they click see more, then they'll be able to get more content depending on what you put in there. So when we talk about the image, right, the headline, the text above, all these are areas that you can use to either highlight the offer itself, right? Or give some context on how to take advantage of the offer. And that's how we're going to stop someone in the feed.
Yep. Yeah, and again, those are just kind of your standard statics. I may have, no, it doesn't look like I have it. I was going to see if I had a carousel, but I have an example over here. But you can see here another good example, 50% right there in the graphic. This is a carousel. We do this as well. So we keep our dynamic product ads running, our catalog ads running through Black Friday. But what we do is we do something like this where we'll stick the offer up there in the top. I don't like that they put this on the second line. Again, this is another company, but like this is where I would still keep my standard DPA stuff running because these things print money all day long. But I would stick the offer in the headline, like replace whatever your normal headline is with that offer, make it bold like I showed you over here so that it really stands out. But yeah, that's the most important part. Have the offer everywhere, have it stand out. Make sure that you test it here, here, and here. Run it with videos, run it with static images, run it with all your different campaign types because you don't know what's going to work and you got a very short time to capitalize on this. So you really do want to run everything and then just double down on whatever hits.
Lovely, right? Yes, another key point, you guys, right? Having multiple creative options that you can throw in there, whether it's just an image, whether it's a video, whether it is a carousel of multiple images, you don't know what's going to hit initially, right? We can
Mhm.
make assumptions, we can try to follow best practices, but at the end of the day, the market is going to tell you what they like the best, and Facebook is going to feed that. So as you're going out and you're launching these creatives, the big secret to scroll stopping creatives is to have enough options that you can
Mhm.
find a scroll stopping creative, right? And then, Mace, I noticed we get the slide pulled back up. You mentioned something here that I want you to touch on a little bit when we talk about with like video ads and we talk about a pattern interrupt. Talk to me a little
Mhm.
bit about that.
Yeah, so pattern interrupt ads. Now, granted, pattern interrupt has been a marketing strategy that's been around for 100 years, but people are starting to use it more in Facebook ads, specifically with videos. And what it is it's basically something that is at the beginning of the video that's completely unrelated to the product. And it's almost like clickbait, but visual clickbait. Like I've seen some where like a dude's about to get hit by a car in the middle of the street, and then all of a sudden it cuts to the actual product itself, or so it's like a slip and fall video, and before the person hits the ground, it cuts to the product. Like those are really aggressive examples, and those are going to be a little bit off brand for some companies, but they work really well because it does get the person to stop and watch, and then they'll probably watch your video for a few seconds. So, because now it's not just about will the person click through, it's about stopping them in the feed. So you've got a scroll stop rate and a click through rate, two different metrics. So that helps your scroll stop rate a lot, having something like that. There are ways to do it that's on brand though. So we recently just did this for Medley. I've got an example here that I can share that we actually just started testing in the last couple of days, and it's working great. And it's not as off brand or jarring as a slip and fall or somebody get hit by a car. Because again, that's not going to be good for every brand. And we put a lot of money and a lot of resources into our brand integrity. So we're not going to do anything too crazy with our ads. But what we did is this is the ad right here. My wife and I shot this just like in our pool with our dogs, right? So the main frame is two cute dogs. People love animals. Anything with animals always does well on Facebook. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
literally like people will stop to watch this. And then when you hit play, you know, 3 seconds of cute dogs. Boom, there's the wine, branded glass, and that's it. And that's been killing it for us. We just launched that this week. So this isn't holiday specific, but the reason I call it out is because you're in a much more competitive environment during the holidays. So anything that
Right.
you can do to give yourself that edge and stand out in the feed is important for you to use. And you could maybe even holiday theme it, maybe have somebody like falling off a Christmas tree or spilling a box of ornaments. Like there's 100 ways you can do this, but that will definitely help give you an edge over a lot of other folks in the feed because not too many people are doing this right now. I'm starting to see it happen more, but like we're in the early days of kind of this aggressive pattern interrupt strategy. So if you jump on this season, it's going to give you an edge over the rest of the advertisers out there because most people are not doing this, but I know that the ones that are doing it are seeing a lot of success with it.
Right. And again, you guys think about like what you see on like a TikTok or in Instagram Reels, the ones that really go
Mhm.
nuclear, right? It's stopping you from what you're doing when you talk about pattern interrupt. You're scrolling, you're consuming, you're just going through, and then bang, something happens that just throws you off, right? Okay, what's this dog doing here? What's this cat doing here? Again, this person just
Mhm.
fell. It snaps and it captures your attention. And again, TikTok is really good. At least the videos that do well on TikTok are
Mhm.
really good at having these like scroll stopping hooks. There's something happening that really captures your attention right away. There's some type of movement in the
Mhm.
feed, right? What's going on here? There's bright colors in the feed. What's going on here? Because again, you have to remember how people are going to see your ads, you guys. They're on 80, 90% of them are going to be on their phones, right? Swiping, consuming. You
Mhm.
have to stand out. So again, giving yourself multiple cracks at the apple. Animals work really well. We've got an ad right now where we have like a cat standing next to two of our air freshener bottles, and it's going nuclear for us on Facebook and Instagram. It's
Mhm.
just what do people want to see? Show them things that they like, and then switch it up on them so that they're not prepared for what's coming next. Once you capture someone's attention, boom, now you can make your offer. Now you can move forward into the next thing that you want to cover with them because for at least a second there, you have their attention. And that is the biggest secret in advertising is capturing attention, right? That's what it's all about. So next up, let's talk a little bit about media buying during the
Yeah. So
holidays.
Yeah, so we're going to get kind of into this is the nitty gritty stuff. The creative is the fun stuff. This is more the dollars and cents side, right? And I touched on this a little bit, but it's really important that you're nimble with your spends on both a macro and a per campaign basis. Now, what I mean by that is your total spend and then also what you're spending on this campaign, this campaign, this campaign. So you need to be cognizant of your total budget and what you're spending, and then also how you're shifting between campaigns and between channels. We're talking a lot about meta on this stream. But I would expect for those of you that have a well-rounded advertising strategy and really have a good machine built, you're also running Google. You may also be running TikTok. And so you need to be looking at all three platforms and going which one is winning, which one is losing, where do I need to shift dollars to? And then even within those, double clicking into the campaigns and going, what's my top performing campaign? Do I have room to increase on this? Because again, it's riding through a storm when you're going through Black Friday. This stuff changes so quickly day to day, performance wise. And so it's important that you have all these levers and that you're looking at all of them and shifting between them really in order to get the most out of it as you possibly can. It's definitely not a fixed plan type of thing. You make a plan and then you adjust as you go through it based on the data that you get back.
Right? Just like a real sports game, right? Maybe you have your game plan for the first quarter or the first half, but if things don't go according to plan, then we have to be able to adjust our play calling. We have to adjust the playbook based on what's actually happening on the field, right? So
Yeah.
that way you can continue to dominate your competition, which again, that's what media buying is. We said earlier, it's an auction. So the better job that you do with your creatives and with your budgeting, your targeting, right, the better you're going to do in comparison to them, right? And when we talk about, going between channels, right? Remember, especially with e-commerce, don't think just in terms of like clicks and traffic, and I'm getting clicks and traffic from here, clicks and traffic from there. Think in terms of a customer. What does it cost me to get a customer from Facebook or Meta, right? Or a customer from Google, a customer from TikTok? Who's getting me the cheapest customers right now, the cheapest leads right now? And that way we can move some of our budget that way, right? But again,
Yeah.
it's not just getting in front of new people, right? There's a twist there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really Black Friday is about getting in front of your existing audience and the audience that you built. Because we've said it 5 times already how expensive traffic gets, right? So if you're going to pay an arm and a leg for traffic, those people better convert way higher than they normally do for you. What's your highest converting audience? It's people that already know you, existing customers, people that have already visited the website. And this is what Mike talked about in the previous session with you guys, was building those lead lists, building those retargeting lists, building those email lists before the holiday season. This is where it comes into play, because for most brands, not all, I do have some brands that are able to get new customers and that are able to kill it on cold acquisition during Black Friday, but that's the anomaly, not the norm. For most brands, now is when you're going to extract as much money and value as you can out of your existing base. So that's where I would say 60+% of your focus for Black Friday should be retargeting. And it's not just your normal retargeting audiences either, because you don't normally spend 60% of your budget on retargeting. If you did that, your frequency is going to be crazy and you're going to just blast the same people 100 times. You're going to expand your retargeting audience during Black Friday. So normally we go back 30 days. If anybody has hit our website in 30 days or engaged with one of our pages in 14 days, that's our usual window. For Black Friday, we add another group that goes back to 180 days. So 6 months. We got a better offer than we usually have. So we'll target back 6 months. We'll win back old people that haven't bought from us in a very, very long time, or haven't ever bought, but have been to the page. They've been sitting on the fence, whatever. And so that allows you to spend more on retargeting by opening up those additional audiences. Additionally, you've been driving more traffic. You've been building your lead list before getting into holiday season. So you naturally already have a bigger retargeting audience to start with anyway.
And, a key point there, and it all ties together, folks. Right? When we talk about starting your ads and starting these campaigns early, not waiting to the last minute, again, this is part of it, because especially if you're below 5K a month, below 10K a month, and you're starting to get ramped up. By starting your advertising early, everybody that you're sending to your store, right? These people that you're paying to get now, maybe they're not ready to buy today, but that's again why we're capturing their contact information and their leads early, so that we can follow up with them like we talked about in part 1. But again, all these networks, they put these like tracking devices on you, like put these little stickers on you that stick to you and follow you around. And that's what retargeting is. Once you've got one of those stickers on you, then we can send you more ads and we can stay in front of you. So again, just because someone does not buy today, that's not the end goal. That's not the end, right? That's just literally the start. So we start early. We try to get those tracking stickers on people. We try to capture the leads. So that way I've got emails coming to you with additional offers to move you across the finish line. And then we're talking about here, retargeting ads. So you saw an ad and now you're seeing an additional ad. I'm getting these extra touch points. And during the holidays, when everybody's running ads, when someone can see your offer, they hear from you. It builds more trust. It builds a little bit more confidence. And that could be the difference between them buying from your competition and them getting it from you.
Yep. And then something I'll add too, this isn't on the slide, but we touched on it briefly earlier, but use every single campaign type that you got, every single audience that you have. Like, we organize our accounts into A, B, and C tier audiences. A is like the best quality. It runs all the time. B runs most of the time. And C is like, well, we use it during high seasons. We pull the B and C's off the shelf and use them during Black Friday. Because again, you don't know what's going to work. The board's been reset when you get into Black Friday. So you need to have everything engaged. So all your interest audiences, even the ones that, you only use occasionally or that usually don't work, will probably work or have a good shot at working on Black Friday. Make sure you're using interest targeting. Make sure you're using Advantage Plus targeting. Make sure you're using image creative, carousels, DPA ads, videos. You want to throw the whole, the whole kitchen sink at the wall when you get into Black Friday. So that was a quick little bonus there for you. The last point, don't get greedy. Have a plan. It's almost like when you go to gamble in Vegas, have the money, you're going to gamble, and then that's it, right? It's the same thing with Black Friday. Now, Black Friday, obviously, if you're really winning, you can throw some more money in there and double down. But what we typically see is we will ramp, and then we'll hit that peak. And once we hit that peak, we got about 2 or 3 days before we need to be drawn back down to our normal baseline. So it turns very, very quick. We will build over the course of 2 weeks, usually, Typically have people run their offers for 2 to 4 weeks, but we'll really build starting out about 2 weeks. Like we'll be ramping our campaigns 50% a day. But once you see that peak kind of hit and you see it start to go down, you got to draw back down to your normal spend levels, usually in like 48 to 72 hours. If you walk away, and you're like, I'm killing it, and you don't check your campaigns for 2 days, 3 days, you're going to lose a whole lot of money, because once the people are done buying, they are done. So don't try to press your luck there. Have your goals, have your numbers, have your budget. If you're doing well, by all means, spend ahead of it. But once you see that wave kind of crest, it's time to get out and walk away from the table.
Right. It's like again, like a sports game. When you're doing well and you're rolling, you can put the backups in, and the backups can go in and they can start making plays, and everything is great because we're rolling. Dopamine is high. People are shopping and people are excited, right? But you got to know when you're not rolling anymore, right? Mm-hmm. And when you're going against a different opponent. And that's what happens. Like the holiday season is specifically like BFCM, especially that range right there, like is like a different beast than some of the other times of the year. And that's why we're talking about, hey, during the holiday season, especially, we're ramping up. We're going hard in the paint during a condensed window. But after we've got the job done, right, or we let the backups play and get sweaty and lathered up, then we go back to normal. You put your normal starters back in, and then we keep going from that point.
And this applies on the front end of BFCM too, not just the back. It's not just about how fast you pull your stuff out of market, but it's also about how fast you go in. So when we're ramping, like let's say you're spending $100 a day, and oh my gosh, you're getting the best ROAS you've ever seen. Don't get excited and go and move that budget from 100 to 500. You'll nuke your campaign and just blow up all the progress you just made. Go from 100 to 200, 200 to 300, 300 maybe to 500, but like make jumps that make sense, not more than usually 100% a day. And you can do it every day. So you can move up very fast. If you're running over 2 weeks, you can go from $100 a day to $1,000 a day in the course of a week or less. But don't make that all in one fell swoop. You will blow up your campaign and you will waste a ton of money.
A ton. And just a note on that, right? Because again, there's different levels of success when it comes to ad buying. So when you are getting started, again, talking specifically for folks that are a little bit newer to media buying, right? We get it. You're excited, but you have to be paying attention to what you're getting out of your traffic, right? And making sure that the numbers are making sense and that you're getting what you need out of it as you start to spend more and more and more. Don't go in and you've never run ads before and you're immediately like, let me try to throw $100, $200 at something, right? That's again why we talk about starting things earlier to kind of get your sea legs under you, making sure that the stuff is rolling. And then when you start to see the numbers that you need to see, then like Mason is saying, right, you can scale up quickly. That's why we like running ads. It's not like SEO, right? It's not like social media where that's like rain. You can't control when you get clicks from SEO. You can't control when and if something goes viral. Ads, you are in control of them. So you have to make sure that you like what you see. And if you like what you see, you can build that snowball up really, really quickly. That's what makes it so exciting. But again, always be protecting yourself. And that's why when Mason talks about making sure that you're watching your campaigns and you're looking at it, that's what we mean, right? Just protect your dollars during this time frame. So that way you can really eat, right? So obviously we've talked about, scroll stopping creatives. We've talked about mistakes to avoid. And we've talked about some different budgeting tips and ways to run your campaigns during the holidays to make sure that you're getting the most out of it, right? The last thing we want to touch on is after the holidays. How can we set ourselves up for success after that holiday sales rush?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is something that a lot of rookies tend to miss, right? We know this stuff because we've been doing it for a little while, but you should keep your evergreen campaigns on at a low level if you can afford to through the holiday season. Now, I know I said don't do the same thing that you always do. Do a bunch of extra stuff, do a bunch of different stuff. But the reason you want to keep your evergreen campaigns on at a very low level is they'll probably still perform. They will still get you sales. The cost with doing the same thing is opportunity cost. You do something dedicated for Black Friday, it's going to do better than your regular stuff. Your regular stuff still can do okay, but the reason you want to keep it on is because when you turn stuff off on Facebook and it's off for more than a week, it's a total reset. So let's say you've had a campaign running for a couple months and it's done really, really well. If you turn it off from November to January and you flip it back on in January, it's not going to do what it used to. It's going to have to go through a relearning period, go through a reset period, and that can be very, very painful. So if you can give your evergreen campaigns, your top one or two always on campaigns, just a little bit of juice to keep them running through the holiday season and keep them getting sales on a semi-consistent basis so the algorithm stays tuned, that's going to help you a lot when you come out of holiday seasons. Otherwise, you're going to have a pretty painful lull and you're going to have to spend probably a decent chunk of money to get your campaigns profitable again after you turn them back on. And that's not something you want to have to do after you just had a big win in the holidays. Don't go and kill that, by having to start from scratch in January.
Right, right. So again, everybody and their mom decides that, hey, it's the holidays. Now's the time to start running ads, right? And then as quickly as they come, a lot of them go, right? But the key with paid advertising is about consistency, you guys. It's about doing the things that are going to keep your car running, keep the machine going. And then the holidays are when you ramp that up. But you don't want to just do this and then immediately plummet. You want to use this as a chance to lift your floor, right? Raise the sea level. So we want to see a nice lift. And then we want to do things to kind of keep on going and keep on performing at a higher level. When things are getting you the numbers that you need, just because the holidays are done, like Mason is saying, you don't want to necessarily stop, because it's not like people aren't buying during January. It's not like people stop shopping. Everyone thinks, that's it. It's done. But working your way, this is from personal experience, right? Restarting the machine after you turn it off is not easy, right? It's not an easy thing to do. So as you go through this, use the holidays as a chance to level up, not just a one-off, but to level up and again, lift that floor and give yourself more consistency, right? Go from, a starting, you're just getting started out to now you're established, or go from established to now you're rolling to now you're booming. This holiday season, right? Q4 is the ultimate time to level your brand up, because you are going to have people willing to give you a chance that wouldn't normally be willing to. The offer makes a difference. Those additional touch points make a difference. And once they give you that chance, you want to take it and keep on running and use this as the stepping stone that it needs to be, right? So, Mace, we got anything else that we want to leave them with?
Yeah, the last thing, January is a holiday month. It is. You won't do quite as much volume as you do in November and December, but you will probably do the same ROAS, and it will probably be your best month until next holiday season. So that's all the more reason to not shut the machine off when it comes to January. Like, because you return stuff, or you didn't get that thing that you wanted for Christmas, and you go buy it yourself in January. So you'll probably still do more volume than you do in most months, and it'll probably be your best ROAS outside of November and December. So make sure you budget for that, because sometimes people too, they blow all their cash during the holiday season on their ads, and then their budget's super light for January because they're thinking it's going to be dead. I would give yourself a healthy budget for January. Like, give yourself more for January than you do for February or March.
Woo, that's spoil yourself month, right? Hey, I didn't get it for Christmas. Maybe I'll get it for myself. And if you're still around when everyone else is, heading for the hills, then you can cash in on that opportunity right there. So again,
I have a quick data snapshot I can show to prove this too before we go.
Boom. Let's see it.
Cool. So again, this slide is super bare. I had to anonymize it because, this is a client. I don't want to be giving away their information or anything, but this is just a chart, right? So here's the big pop, November, here's November, here's December, 480 ROAS, December to the 330, January, 320. The ROAS is almost flat from December to January. Now you can see a lot less volume, right? Like we went from 1,200 purchases to 400, but still look at that return. So that's my point, is make sure that you leave enough in the tank to capitalize on this return back here in January, because you are going to see some pretty solid performance there. And we see this trend across a lot of different, almost all of our clients. January tends to do very, very well. In their minds, they're like, okay, we're done. And we got to like press them like, no, 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 keep your foot on the gas one more month.
All right. Return on ad spend, ROAS. And again, it's not magic that we're talking about here, you guys. It really is just math. Like we said earlier, this is an auction. So if everybody's going in and spending money during the holidays, that makes everybody's costs higher. But if everybody also turns around and says, well, holidays are finished, I'm done, we're out of here, game's over, and you're still on the field playing, there's less competition. Less competition means lower costs for you. So as you saw in the graph, yes, the numbers come down sales-wise, but your return on ad spend is higher because, again, there's less competition, there's less people chirping, there's less stuff in the background. Again, people are thinking that the ball game is over, but the ball game is not over, and you are there to take the easy layups, right, and benefit and profit from those, right? So again, the fourth quarter is when e-com brands can do as much as 50% of their annual revenue. And this year, more people are going to spend more money in online retail than any year prior. And it's only going up. It's been going up every single year. And this is your opportunity to finally cash in and see the type of success that you deserve. So if you take the things that we talked about in part one of the Ultimate Holiday Marketing Playbook and combine that with some of the traffic strategies that we've talked about today, then you have what you need to really take this bad boy to the next level. Now, I do have something for you to help you guys with implementation of some of these things. Right, we do have our Ultimate Holiday Marketing Playbook. Right, we do have a free PDF that goes over some of the things that we've talked about in part one, some of the things that we talked about in part two. And if you want access to that, comment Playbook in the comment below. Right, regardless of what platform you're watching this on, because we're in a lot of different places. Type Playbook in the comments. We'll make sure we can get you access to that playbook, so that way you can take this and you can make this your best holiday season ever. All right, Mason, you got anything else you want for him?
I think that's it. Go out and crush it this Q4.
We're excited for you guys, right? And we will see you next episode of Ecom Hacker TV, right? Catch you guys on the flip side. So let's go ahead and get this bad boy started, all right?